Hey, welcome to Nerd News Now for what year is this? Is this still 2020? September 14th, 2020.
We have made it 3 quarters.
We got hey John, this is like your third time to join us, so welcome back. Thanks for coming. We have Chaz and Miss Jen rounding things out. Guys, what have you been up to? We'll start with you, Miss Jen. What have you been up to this week?
Oh gosh. I bought 30,000 comics today.
So that's just like a regular Monday for you now. That's pretty much a regular Monday for you now.
It's not an exaggeration either. That's exactly how many I bought. Let's see. This week was fun. I went and watched Jurassic Park on Friday.
How was it?
It was the same as it was always. I took a nap in the middle.
That's awesome.
Was it drive-in or in theater?
In theaters. And Nedry's still a douche, by the way.
Oh yeah. Newman. But I think that maybe seeing that in a drive-in could have an added effect if they gave everyone a cup of water, then had someone come and shake the car during the T-Rex chase scene. But has anyone else gone into a theater besides Miss Jen? Because it seems that she's gone into a theater the last 3 weeks, at least once. Chaz, no. John, you?
No, I don't go to theater very much anymore. I kind of watch stuff on streaming services. So
Yeah. I mean, I would go like once every 2 weeks to decompress, but I mean nothing. I mean, I just don't foresee myself going till next year when we're all in the clear of this. Because for one thing, there's so much to watch, as you mentioned, streaming services, and we're gonna get more and more movies that are gonna go directly to on demand. And I would rather just put down that $20 or whatever for things like Bill and Ted, or even 30 for Mulan, much to Chaz's chagrin. But
30? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
$30 is too much, and you don't even get.
What am I paying for? I mean, I can't get a Mandalorian to save my life.
No, well, you can in October.
October 30th, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it just depends on if you were going to take a whole family to see Mulan, then $30 is nothing compared to what it would have been. But
they're going to have their whole family plus the friends or whatever, and they're not going to pitch in on anything. I mean, it's just, and then you don't get to keep it. That's my biggest thing. Okay, if
you do get to keep it,
you get to keep Mulan.
You keep it. I mean, you just keep it until it becomes a part of Disney Plus.
Well, see, that's why it's already on Disney Plus, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to unlock it for $30.
Oh well, I'll just wait until
so it's free. I don't think you're gonna watch it anyway. We've already had this whole roundabout thing, and then they tried to compare Mulan to Black Widow, and then it just got way out of hand. I never even tried to compare the two.
Okay, well, here's my thing. Like, as far as Disney Plus goes, the live action stuff, there was like a day where I had nothing to do, so I did watch like the Jungle Book live action. I watched Lion King and Aladdin. So I think I did all three of those in one day. So I will probably watch Mulan when it's available for my $5.99 a month. I'll totally watch it then. Mulan is just not on my spectrum right now.
Well, I think it's gonna. It always seemed that it was gonna be the biggest difference between the animated and the live action. The complaints I've heard so far are there's no songs and no animated dragon. And I'm kind of like,
is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon good though? I mean, like, I'll take that. Like, if the Wu-Tang Clan is in there and they're doing some kung fu, I'm about that life.
Oh, if RZA could have done the score, that would have been awesome.
Shout out to RZA and
for sure. John, what have you been up to?
Man, it's been a kind of a light week. Pretty busy at work, and then I could have hit rank 9 in PvP for Pogo, but I didn't. I went other teams. So, other than that, just spending time with Max and Bridget, and kind of chilling out, watching The Boys. I got caught up on that, and then watched the latest episode that aired Friday earlier today. That was pretty strong. Really loving that. I think they're just executing that Garth Ennis rolled really well between that and Preacher. Like those are just super strong shows.
Preacher was Preacher kind of I kind of got taken out of Preacher early on because it didn't have that travel aspect to it because they basically were going to one location per season because of budgetary purposes because if they would have done what they did in the comic over the 66 issues the budget would have been out of control.
Yeah.
So I think but I still loved the cast and the tone and all that was definitely Garth Ennis. This, however, I think is an even better job. Maybe it's because they're able to show. I mean, because it's a microcosmic universe. Like there's a lot going on, but it takes place, at like the Super Seven Tower, and it's revolving around those characters. And then you have Yui come in and Billy the Butcher, and it just seems more. It seems more grounded, if that's even possible for a show with flying and whales. Whales. Don't you feel bad?
It's very polished. It's very polished. Whereas I think Seth and crew on the Preacher went really, really okay. This is a debaucherous, fun, good time with vampires and ridiculousness and God riding a moped and a dog suit. I mean, it was just so. I think this was a little more polished and a little less pushed away from kind of placating to us nerds. So, but I'm loving both. I think they both are great. I think the acting is absolutely phenomenal for a lot of the lead characters. I even dig A Train's character, and his was never really anything more than a meh. But I think they've brought even something to that. I'm still disappointed Jessica Jones isn't a thing anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I miss that aspect of I mean I guess we'll call it the MCU, although it was the Netflix version of that. But without giving anything away, what did you think about the scenes where Homelander was visiting an old friend? Did that throw you off at all?
Did the old friend maybe become the friend that looked like the friend too?
Yeah, but I don't think he liked. I don't think he liked anyone that he ended up liking anyone that he saw.
That's the thing about him. He hates everyone equally, right? He's kind of an equal opportunity hater, and he hates himself. And I think that's what comes across in the character, that crave to be loved, but actually that self-hatred. He does just a fantastic acting job from top to bottom to kind of pull off that unlikable sociopath and show that level of cruelty, but in the same token, kind of still pull off the Superman kind of vibe a little bit. So I'm loving it. I think it's the best thing on right now, pretty much. I haven't seen Cobra Kai yet, I must admit, but I haven't been this wild since Berthel did the Punisher, where I just thought it was visceral acting. Man, that guy's got to get more work. They're talking about him getting to be the Punisher in the main MCU, Marvel. And
oh yeah, I mean that would be a no-brainer. Yeah, I think that would be a no-brainer. I hope the whale from The Boys episode 3 can get more work because you talk about the star of the episode.
Dude, he did really kill it.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've watched it, but they have that really awesome after show with Aisha Tyler, who I love, and they did.
I'll take it.
They did a feature on that scene, the effects and everything that went into that. So it's definitely worth a watch. If you start getting boys withdrawals, waiting for the next episode to drop, now that you're caught up, go back and watch that Inside the Boys show. I think there's one episode per each episode that's aired so far, plus like a season 1 wrap up that they did.
Are y'all liking the character development on the Deep so far?
I do. I mean, I still, he's still falling into those traps where, as you saw in the last episode, he's still going to make the wrong choices for right now. I mean, he's really having to be coached up.
I think it's a really interesting character, the way they're kind of pulling it off. That's all I'm saying. I think
I've never been more disturbed by Patton Oswalt's voice.
I do love Patton Oswalt's voice on some gills.
Yeah, that was and you know what? That's not even a spoiler anymore because they've started to use that in international promos.
So.
Yeah. If you've never heard his stand-up Werewolves and Lollipops, not for the faint of heart, and highly, highly recommended.
There's no comedian that I can think of that caters more to nerds than him. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend all that stuff. Chaz, what about you? What have you been up to?
Not watching The Boys. No, man, same old stuff, dude. Same old, same old. So Nita Strauss, she is the lead guitar player for Alice Cooper. Anyway, she's my coach as far as working out. So I've been working out. I started on the 1st. Results are coming in. I'm feeling really, really good. Other than that, man, just slinging comic books, and that's about it. Trying to get caught up with everything. Have The Boys on the list, so I should be watching that sometime this week. Because like I said last week, I was going to wait, since it's a weekly thing, I was going to wait until like 5-6 episodes in. That way I can binge it, and that way I'm not paying so much later on. And I think it's it. Oh, somebody at work today, I'm hanging out, right? And a delivery person comes in. Some secret admirer sent me an edible arrangements today. So that's always fun. So shared it with everybody who was working, and it was delicious. And the card was kind of confusing, but regardless, if you're watching, thank you very much for that. Other than that, man, it's the same old stuff, man.
Confusing. Are they still a secret, or do you know who it was?
No, I have no idea. At first, I had two ideas. One, I had an idea. It was more of a hopeful, but it was like, okay, well, this person would never do something like this. The other one, the initials didn't match. And then I asked her, I was like, yo, is this you? And she was like, no, frowny face. But, well, it said, the card pretty much said, hey, I'll just read the card. Can I just read the card?
Yeah.
All right. It says, Chaz, throwing my name in the hat. You're too amazing not to. Crushing hard, SA. So SA, I'm kind of figuring that it's probably just like secret admirer. And I'm switching the background because it doesn't like. So there's the card.
Yeah. We just turned into a reality show, I think.
I know, we did, right? But here's the confusing part. I'm throwing my name in the hat, but I'm not going to tell you what my name is. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
You
gotta do a little Batman detective work. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do. So anyway, yeah, man. So that's my life right now.
Now, so there was some big news today, and specifically for the MCU. And there's a character that is going to, I guess, be kind of the next villain after Thanos. So we'll just jump right in with this. Jonathan Majors was cast as Kang.
Yes.
And now I need someone, one of you, I can do the Wikipedia thing, but can someone tell me an abbreviated history of Kang and why we should be excited? Minus the fact that Jonathan Majors is an amazing actor. You can see him now on Lovecraft Country, which I think I've talked about every Nerd News Now episode since it started on HBO. So, Kang the Conqueror, who wants to take it?
Gotta be the Queen Comics. She knows it.
That's old school too, by the way, for them
My
to watch
weak spot.
that.
I think okay, so I'm just gonna go with what my brain tells me from like
Yeah.
when I looked at it last, but isn't Kang like a future grandson of Reed Richards or something?
He's a time traveler, and
Okay.
that's a real big throwback for them. I hadn't heard that until you just said it, Mark. I am literally going, what? This is the guy who was in Fantastic Four and Doctor Strange, and they're really going deep on the occult, I think, and the time travel tropes that I hate so much. But
Oh, so you don't like time travel? I love time travel.
no, that's why I always throw it out there so that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. We talked about it on a few episodes back, where it was. I thought I brought it up that Kang was a possible. So now it's legit. But in Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's a little bit of clip, and you can Google it, you can YouTube it, or whatever, where it's got the city that Kang like runs or whatever in the quantum realm. So the theory is that the Fantastic Four has been in this city in the quantum realm for a very long time, or for a period of time. And since Ant-Man has gone through the quantum realm or whatever, then they realize that they can get out of the quantum realm as the Fantastic Four. So the rumor is that we're not going to get like a Fantastic Four origin story, that it's just going to pick up from the quantum realm. They're going to find a way to get out of it. Kang's they leave. Kang's like, where's my people at? And then go from there or whatever.
Is this their segue to Inhumans, do you think? Or are they going to go more Spider-Ham? I had to throw that one out there. I'm sorry.
I would watch a Spider-Ham movie hands down over Inhumans any day. Because Spider-Ham made Into the Spider-Verse for me, like, just come alive a little bit more.
I did enjoy it. I'll take me some Howard the Duck over that, though.
Well, they give us a little tease with Howard the Duck in a couple of the movies and whatnot. So I don't know if Howard the Duck can outdo the 1980s movie, because I mean it was so good. Do I want a Howard the Duck movie? Probably not. Give me maybe if they did the Marvel TV shows that they're doing, give me 5 minutes at the end of WandaVision for Howard the Duck, little bit of insight or whatever. Give me those little teasers. I don't know if I'd want an entire hour and a half of Howard the Duck. I don't know how you would incorporate that.
Maybe
unless he shows up with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Turtles, just have them kind of come in and do certain cool episodes with them or something. But yeah,
dude, that'd be cool. If he shows up Guardians of the Galaxy and he's just there and he gets a little bit more screen time than 10 seconds. I'd be cool with that, man. I think that would work.
Did Disney buy Star Trek properties?
No.
Star Trek? I don't think so. That's CBS, right? They're still doing CBS stuff.
Are you sure they don't plan on buying them?
Hmm?
Are you sure they don't plan on buying that property?
Oh, I don't know. They could buy.
I'm sure it's on their list.
Who's the Star Trek fans? Raise of hands over Star Wars.
Oh no, not a chance.
Just deadpan. Well, I'm looking on Wikipedia here. It seems as though X-Men and Star Trek had a crossover.
What?
Yes, Kang is one of the persons in it. Yeah, called Second Contact.
On what though? On
in the comic? Yeah.
Okay.
Kang disrupts a number of timelines before being defeated by a combined effort of the Mutant X-Men and a crew of the Enterprise E. What?
I have no idea. I'll have to look at
that. That would be a hot book to buy, just saying, if they ever bring Star Trek into the fold.
What series is that you said?
It's called Second Contact. It's an X-Men Star Trek crossover.
What? When did that come out?
Yeah,
no idea.
Nightcrawler
came out.
That's crazy though. It wouldn't surprise me if they bought Star Trek. And they're like, all your base now belong to us.
Oh, right. Yeah, no joke. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I would definitely have to look that up for sure.
And so, Miss Jen, I'll throw this part to you. So, speaking of comics, and you talk about speculation of the market and all things like that. Has anyone called the shop and asked for Avengers number 8 or Fantastic Four number 19? Like you would just have those lying around anyway. But has anyone asked for those?
But I've got there's a variant cover for, I think it's Avengers Forever or something, number 1. There's a really awesome looking Kang cover, and that's what's been selling as we're live. I can see it. If you see my screen go weird, it's because someone's buying it. They keep on getting hit over and over again because I have a secret stash of those I had listed on Bay. So,
and I would like to say the very first online comic I ever bought from Jen was the Avengers Forever. That comic.
That's right.
It was that one. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sure it's worth a lot right now.
Yes. So the reason I bring up both of those books is because as like you said, Kang is kind of not a confusing choice, but it's not a household. Kang the Conqueror is not a household name. This character has a convoluted past, and one of the things is there's going to be a discrepancy of the first appearance because he's in Fantastic Four number 19 as Rama Tut, basically a guy from 3100 AD that is obsessed with time travel, finds some old Doctor Doom equipment lying around and goes back to Egypt and makes himself a king. And then Fantastic Four intervenes and stops him. But then he appears as King the Conqueror in Avengers number 8 a year later. So I think, like Chaz said, with them opening up the can of worms with the quantum realm and time travel, obviously someone who was obsessed with technology and time travel, because he really has no powers outside of that. It's always like if a villain has no powers, it's always genius intellect, and if a hero has no powers, it's cash money. Like you never hear of a hero that's like genius intellect, but it's always like the villain with like genius intellect. So, but that's his thing. He's gonna find. He's gonna like notice, notice that probably like the odd pulses and be like, oh, someone's manipulating time. That's cool. I'm gonna go find it out. So I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of room for interesting stuff, and Ant-Man seems like a very good jump off point for that. And if for some reason they really wanted to blow people's minds, they could have Fantastic Four in the last 20 minutes of that, but I seriously doubt they're going to do that. But I really wish they would, because I don't need another Fantastic Four origin story. It's like, we're going on a spaceship. Now we have powers. That's it. Yeah. We don't need this again and again and again, especially not as educated as the audience is now. If this was 20 years ago, okay. But they tried that and it just doesn't work. You just need to get into it to get past all those moments that might be just like soft beats in the movie and just really up and running. And maybe you could do like individual flashbacks in the future for their own movie or whatever, but I don't think we need an origin story of any characters anymore. Now, if like Blue Beetle gets his own movie tomorrow, sure. But anyone that we know by name, we don't need. We certainly like if Hawkeye were to ever get his own movie, for example, or in the show, we don't need to know why he likes arrows. I don't personally, but I mean I don't know. We just don't need any more origin stories.
I don't know that it does any service overall. Like everyone knows Batman's story. I just don't know that it does a lot of service to established characters, like you said, but even newer, less known characters. Like the Mandarin was the Mandarin in there, but he wasn't really the Mandarin. But it didn't really matter. Like they didn't need to go to a backstory for it. It'll be interesting to see if Kang does a bunch of time travel and Josh Brolin plays yet another role as Strife. And then you'll have Venom, and they can parlay that one in. I'm sure that would piss Sony off some more. But we'll see. It's always possible. Don't know. But I'd like to see Brolin reprise yet another role. Get that money.
Yeah, go for it. Maybe not Jonah Hex. Maybe not that one. Maybe leave that. Maybe leave that behind.
Just leave that where it is, man.
leave that. Just leave that where it is. One thing about origin stories, maybe it's because we're used to non-linear storytelling now with Quentin Tarantino and the jump cuts back and forth and the exposition, and not only that, but in our intake of media, I can go watch The Boys season 2 episode 4. Like I'm not at the mercy of a programmer anymore. I can go watch, an episode from Friends season 10 so that I know that everything else I watch is way better than it. I mean, I don't need to remind myself of that, but I could.
Right. I think that nonlinear storytelling really does a service to a lot of movies. Like when you think of Memento or insert any Quentin Tarantino movie. I think that not setting it up where, okay, there's an antagonist, they're going to do some fighting, the good guys win, or they'll win in the second one, or whatever. Like kind of moving it around a little bit makes for a better story overall. Kind of going present day, jump back, present day. I think that's just more interesting. It's been done well in a lot of movies, and I think that's important.
And I just think specifically with villains, and I guess specifically the example that comes to mind is X-Men Age of Apocalypse. All this stuff at the beginning, we didn't need that. Like it takes you out of it. Because you're there to see you're there to see the X-Men. And yes, Apocalypse, and also there's a lot of pressure when you take a villain like Apocalypse. That's why I think King's a really smart move because out of an audience of 100, maybe one guy shakes his fist and goes, "You screwed up my favorite character." But everyone else is just like there to let the character grow on them, you know. So I think it's a really smart move. Jonathan Majors is again awesome on Lovecraft Country. If you have Netflix, he's also in Spike Lee's Defy Bloods. Check that out. But yeah, I'm excited about this, and we're in that realm where as this Phase 4 moves on, we're still waiting on Black Widow. We're still waiting on the Eternals, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what pops up. I mean, everyone wants to know how are you bringing the X-Men and how are you bringing Fantastic Four, but I think these little kind of teases intrigue us as to how they're going to do it, and I'm just hoping like we see them before their own movies because I just don't think we need to be explained. I don't need to be explained ever again who Wolverine is, or Professor X, or Storm, or Rogue. Or now, if you did the Captain Marvel version of Rogue, that would be incredible. Right, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
No, I don't think so. I highly doubt it. It'd be really cool, but I don't see that happening.
I mean, I think you could do it and be sympathetic to both characters. I mean, I think it could work. I don't know if it's possible to do that when you're trying to bring in an entire franchise. I don't know if you would spend. Let's say there was like the next 8 MCU movies. You see one X-Men pop up, I would be all about that. And then it would be like a slow burn of 3 years, but you would have a well-developed, X-Men coming out of each movie. Be awesome, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, that's more of a Sony thing. I mean, Age of Apocalypse was a miss. You had Psylocke, which is an interesting character, could have her own movie, and it was just a miss. Like I was like, okay, you're gonna bring in Storm, you're gonna have Psylocke. How are you gonna screw this up? Oh wait, never mind. We got Sony on this thing here. I mean, honestly, Iron Man 3 would have been good with Fing Fang Foom in it. Let's not be lying about that. I mean, giant Godzilla type dragon creature, I'd have been all over that. Like Iron Man fights a giant Godzilla creature. Let's see where that goes. They're kind of known for going with the unobvious choice. I think Thanos is obvious choice, but these lesser knowns make for interesting movies. So
Yeah, absolutely. So Miss Jen, I'm going to kick this over to you. A trailer for a little movie called Dune came out. What were your thoughts on that?
I really like the trailer a lot. It's only missing my favorite character though. I need some fade.
Now, so I know nothing about Dune, and I've thought about trying to read the book, trying to watch the original TV series or whatever. And after seeing that trailer, I'm gonna wait because I just don't like. I think I'm so enamored by that trailer and how awesome and epic it looks. I think that anything else might just be a disappointment. And if I'm really interested in that, then I'll go back and watch and see what they did. But that trailer looks awesome. So who is Fade?
Fade is the nephew of Baron Harkonnen, and in the original film, he was played very well by Sting. He was like like Harkonnens are usually like big burly dudes, and he was like super slender, and they did a perfect job with him. He just like oozed danger by his just like look. So he's an important character. He's the foil for the main character. So it would be I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, waiting to show who they've cast. But,
Have they not announced? They haven't. They announced like a cast of like 20. That's not one of the characters.
I don't know. He's not in the trailer at all, so I don't know if they're keeping it a secret or if it's on IMDb. I should go look and I'll be like, oh, okay. But I'm like you. Can't wait to see the film. I will tell anybody that's thinking about reading the book, just know that it is very, very long book, and it is way drier than the movie.
To the punch on that one. Wow. the books, Mark, are an investment in your life.
Oh, no.
To read all books, you might take almost a year, but Momoa's in it. I didn't even know that. And and Josh Brolin and Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah, like you said, Josh Brolin's getting that money. Josh Brolin's getting that money.
Javier Bardem will steal the damn show. Can we all agree on that?
I don't know, Zendaya.
He always does. I don't know, like Timothy Chalamet in the trailer is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have no idea. I don't know if like Dune is just Game of Thrones with way more sand, or what. But it looks awesome.
That's awesome.
Think of more of a rated R kind of Star Wars with a lot more just kind of esoteric, weird. I don't want to call it.
There's politics and religion.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say it's like the Old English Church, but I wouldn't want to blast out like that on anybody British that might be watching.
Hello, what you mean, right?
It's very much like that. If you enjoyed any of the Anne Rice books, you'll probably enjoy this pretty well in a more sci-fi kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
The spice is real.
And does it end up just being like a prequel to Tremors?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's what I was thinking. Either that or
that was a great segue though, and that was some fire.
Well, either that or
the initial visuals for the Dune prequel today too. Also.
Oh, for the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing that again?
Oh gosh, I should have paid attention. I looked at all the visuals, but I didn't see who they were by. Uh-oh.
Well, why? Who's publishing that? Who has the rights to the
Boom Comics?
Boom. Okay. Now see, that's something I might would pick up before the movie, because that's going to be much lower impact, and you might get a feel of where the characters are before that story starts, unless we get a really long, drawn out scenes at the beginning. But so whenever someone mentions like anything sci-fi and politics, I just think of that 90-minute boardroom scene on the first Star Trek, and I just start to fall asleep.
Yeah,
because that was like so ridiculous. If you've ever seen the original Star Trek movie,
dude, I tried to get into it like a long time ago. Like I tried to get into it. I was like, I'm gonna do it, man. Star Trek. I watched that and I fell asleep. I don't know how many times, and I was like, let's just get through it. I'm one of those guys. It doesn't matter if the movie's bad. I'll stick it through just till the end, just so I could say I've seen it. I've seen the whole thing. I gave it a chance. Star Trek, oh, dude, like I fell asleep so many times. I don't think I've ever gone through like one of the originals. I've never seen a whole one through. I just fall asleep every time. So boring.
I mean, I'll start with Wrath of Khan. I would probably only watch Wrath of Khan and then just skip to the J.J. Abrams ones.
Yeah, I mean there's action, like keeps you involved. You're awake.
You gotta watch Voyage Home. That's where all the quotes come from.
I'll Google the quotes before I watch
it. Star Trek fans, to flame it properly, Star Trek fans have a big disdain for the movies as opposed to the series. Yeah, it's a big. I mean, there's people who collect everything, all memorabilia alike, but still, it's the less sought after memorabilia from them. So everyone kind of thinks the Next Generation was like a shining moment. They kind of did a resurgence and brought it to everything the newer Star Wars movies have not been for that second kind of run when everyone was capping on Jar Jar, the greatest Sith Lord of all time, and for those who believe that, like myself.
They should just do a short and just give it to us. Or he's like,
people know Jar Jar was a Sith. He's the dude.
That'd be awesome.
Everyone knows this. Come on. right place, right time, always.
Unless I see it, it's not happening. Because I want to be in awe, like I was the first time I saw Darth Maul hit that lightsaber. You got the 1 and the 2. You're like, what? And then in the last Star Wars, where Rey comes out, she's got the pew, and then she flips it. You're like, what? That's how in awe I want to be as far as Jar Jar being a Sith Lord. Just give it to me, man. I don't care if it's 5 minutes. Just give me a little something.
Jen, Jar Jar is the Sith and the Master.
Is Dooku his acolyte then? Because we never figured out who the master acolyte was with Dooku.
Yes.
When you start to read some of the older comics and just stuff on the internet, you start to realize they have such a rich history that I think a lot of non-nerds who maybe are really into Star Wars, but that's like it, because they grew up on it or whatever, but not really anything else, not comic collectors. They kind of get shoved to the side on understanding that that's where some of the really cool stuff happens and some of the really cool adventures. And it's just quite a shame that they didn't go to some of the creme de la creme on that. So, or just hand it to Favreau. He'll make sure it gets righted. I mean, come on.
All day long, for sure.
And speaking of segues, now moving to or staying in the world of Star Wars, and there's been this rumor for a little bit, but it's gaining some steam online. Is a Mace Windu show for Disney Plus. Now this would come on the heels of obviously Ewan McGregor reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and then Cassian Andor show on the way, a character I'm not familiar with. So obviously Samuel L. Jackson would be involved in this, but they would cast Mace Windu as a younger version, and it would be his story, coming up as a Jedi. Although Samuel L. Jackson is totally down to and wants to do modern day scenes or flashbacks when he's older, so that would be very cool. Who else can you think of? Well, I'll go around starting with Miss Jen. What other character would you like to get their own show on Disney Plus? Since it seems like we're going to be in this realm of Star Wars TV for a few years.
I want one that just stars Salacious Crumb.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think? Would you go sitcom format on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be him and what happens while everyone's asleep in the the underground layer. All those weird creatures, that thing that hangs out the wall. What the heck was that? And they just have their own adventures when everyone's sleeping.
He could be like the first Fraggle. He could be the first Fraggle Rock. It could be his story could be all a prequel to that, and he finds the cave and the Dozers and all that. I would enjoy that immensely. Chaz, what about you?
From the Star Wars universe, let's stick with like the comedy theme. I'm gonna go K2SO. Just give me a like maybe a mini series of that guy. Yeah, he was great in Rogue One, and I don't think we got enough of that character. So let me get that one. I want to know where's he come from? What battles has he been in, and why is he just so just sullied? I guess I don't know. He's just so so yeah. Give me a little bit of backstory on K2SO all day.
And John, what about you? Star Wars character with their own show.
It's a little interesting because it depends on what they do with it, right? This one's a Western. I'd really like to see kind of a Sopranos mafioso kind of vibe. Like, I think when you stick with kind of a genre and you kind of adapt to it, it makes her like really, really interesting. So I probably wouldn't want to see just like one person necessarily. I might want to see like a couple of people and like what they're doing in between something or kind of putting the pieces together. I think that could be interesting. If I just had to pick at random, I might want to learn about like Chewbacca's world or like just the Emperor himself. Like, what's that guy about? Like, straight up, he's evil and shit. But what's Palpatine's thing, right? Like Darth Sidious. Where's it all start? And like them adapt that to where they kind of do a. This is what put all the pieces in place to really kind of topple everything, like that anti-hero kind of guy, and just give him something compelling enough that says, okay, this is why he turned, and this is where we're at, and this is why he's on this mission to kind of just disrupt everything that's pure and make it where they're not necessarily the antagonist. They're the protagonist, kind of. Like, we've all had it wrong the whole time and just mind bend us and flip our world to be like, oh, the Jedis are just a bunch of D-weeds, dude. This is that goody-goody stuff. And, like, I've had it wrong the whole time. Kind of like, does everybody remember Hollywood Hogan? And that just blew your damn mind. So Hulk Hogan, I'm the Real American, and then he was NWO Hogan with the blonde mustache chin, black beard. Okay, I want that executed well, where I'm like, F the Jedi, the dark side's where it's at, dude. Like, and you're just like, oh, I get it now. That was just the wrong way to go, is trying to be pure your whole life and not just, Ricky Martin living La Vida Loca. So that's what I'd like to see, something interesting like that, where they kind of have a vibe with it, and it's got like a thematic kind of vibe. I think that's one of the reasons Mandalorian is successful, is it feels like a Western to me, but it's in outer space, and it's totally cool, and it feels fresh, right? We never seen a mafioso kind of Star Wars, and I think they have the talent to write something like that. So that's what would interest me. Take a big character, humanize them, make us rethink some things. Stop placating us and trying to sell toys, because the toys will sell themselves if the story's compelling.
Well, I got two on that. It's always the dark side over here, so I don't have to be convinced.
Me too, but I don't want to go. I'm trying to convince.
And number two, I'm going to grant you your wish, son. If you want to know a little bit more about Chewbacca, there's a little movie called The Holiday Special. So please and watch The Holiday Special if you want to know everything about Chewbacca.
When you said that, if we could rewind the beat on that and get that in slow-mo, it's like So yeah,
Chewbacca, I give you Chewbacca.
For me, Mark, that's something I want to see. I want to see something compelling that really gets me thinking, and isn't a rehash to sell another Ewok, even though Ewoks are badass. So,
but also shout out to B. Arthur for being in the holiday special. That
as a bartender at the cantina.
Here's the thing. What about, instead of focusing, going with your mafioso vibe, but maybe it's just Mos Eisley takes place in that cantina. Then you meet those characters, and maybe they're doing their business there, and then it's like their version of the Bada Bing from Sopranos.
And that's what I'm talking about. Something interesting like that, right? Like, I don't need another outer space sci-fi movie. That doesn't really work. We've already accepted that that's a universe, and we got sucked into it as children. Almost everyone, or their parents even. So, like, I mean, we get that point. So I don't think that that's enthralling anymore to go, ooh, outer space, flying, and other dimensions and time. Like, to me, that doesn't wow me anymore. Like, the human aspects of it are quite better. Kind of like in Way of the Gun, if you've ever seen that, the car chase.
Yeah,
best car chase of all time, for sure. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I think is interesting. So for me, take a character like that and do something interesting. Flip us on our head.
And if we wanted to stick with the comedy angle like the first two, I'd say get a show about Emperor Palpatine, but done by Larry David, and Curb Your Vengeance. That would
be really gassy all the time, and that's like he can't control it, and everyone's always like, dude, man, get that checked out. And he's just like, what? That'd be great.
I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. This would be a serious 1-hour drama, and you talked about, like, not focusing on the space fact, but just something that we were always told about but never knew anything about, would be Alderaan, and of course you would have a young Princess Leia. And much like the way they did Krypton for Siffi, which you can now watch seasons 1 and 2 on the short-lived or soon-to-be-gone DC Universe app. But hey, it's got Lobo season 2, so that's
for sure.
But yeah, that would be cool.
Is there a Lobo movie?
No, he's on. No, there's no Lobo movie. He's on Krypton season 2.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was terrible. Just I don't even know why you had to bring that up. That ruined it. I've got to make that better. So on the parting, as we outro, can we please maybe post a link? I'll share internally in the chat. It'll make everyone stay better. I mean, if it doesn't, you might not. You might just be a bad person in life.
Is it Grocery Store Wars?
It's Lobo singing "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal. It's the best thing ever. Chaz has seen it obviously because he's dying laughing.
That's great. It's amazing. Actually.
Okay,
do yourself a favor and watch it right now, unless you're driving, because I know we're doing podcasts now. But if you're driving, when you're at the stoplight, put it on, listen to the car. But don't drive and text.
Well, John, since I brought that up, we'll switch to a topic I know you'll enjoy, and that's time travel. Just kidding. You mentioned wanting to see things from the side of the Empire, and I have this in the video games rundown for the end of the show. But EA, Electronic Arts, they're promoting their new Star Wars Squadrons game, and they released a 6.5-minute short entitled "Hunted," and it makes it look like the Empire's the underdog. So the Empire, I don't know, like just go to YouTube, the EA channel, Hunted Star Wars short, and it is a TIE fighter pilot, and he's up against it, and it makes them look like the good guys. I don't know if that would ever would translate to a TV show or movie to do it that long, but definitely for like a video game, like pick.
I don't know why we can't have vignettes. Like, why can't we have shorts? Let Quentin Tarantino do a 45-minute episode and say, hey, look, you can have Samuel Jackson, just can't have the wallet and no F-bombs, no Dana Whites. So I'm good with it. You know what I mean? Like, I think you get some really interesting stuff, and it doesn't have to be canon. Everyone always has to argue about canon. Who cares? We want great storytelling. I mean, I really don't care. I'd like to see a Ewok werebeast. Like, to me, that's just a whole, like, that's the part of the story we don't know, is that these things certainly turn into werebeasts, and they've been fighting with the Chewbacca clan for 1,000 years, and they're the actual bad guys. And you're like, oh my God, like, let John Carpenter in there, or somebody. Like, I want to see some stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Definitely an anthology series by a different director every time for like an hour would be awesome. I mean, that would be fantastic. Something else that's fantastic that I've been waiting on forever. Animaniacs. The new Animaniacs has a release date. It's November 20th. It's on Hulu. Original voice cast, Pinky and the Brain. Everyone finally. I was so afraid that this thing, it was in the works for so long that it was not going to happen. Chaz, who's your favorite Animaniacs character?
You want to take a guess? Wacko.
No. Okay.
No, Wacko's my favorite, of course. Wacko was just like, he's like, my favorite Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo. It's like, the carefree, just wacky, kind of crazy, this party kind of guy. Don, I couldn't relate to because obviously when I was younger, me being a boy, I was gravitating towards the boys. And Yakko was just too straight-laced. He was a straight man. So I got to go with Wacko, man. He's great. He's funny. He had all the best lines.
Miss Jen, what about you? Out of all the characters on there, doesn't have to be the Warners.
The Wheel of Morality, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
So good.
And John, what about you? Do you have any fond memories of the Animaniacs?
Brain, for sure. I know it seems the obvious choice. Look, I'm the only jerk that I know that thought Lex Luthor, and like when it was like, who would you rather be? We had some team building exercise at work at some point, and they went around and they said, oh, who inspires you? And everyone was like Martin Luther King, Jesus, this person. And I was like, Lex Luthor. And they were like, what? And I was like, look, you got this overpowered dude. He's got all this stuff. And you just got a dude who's really hardworking and smart and prepares really well. And they were like, out of any person you rather be, like Mahatma Gandhi and all this. I was like, Lex Luthor. I was like, does it have to be real or can it be fictional? And they were like, no one's ever asked that before. I was like, why not? That's way more interesting than most of the historical figures for me. And I said Lex Luthor, sorry. By far,
put on the no-fly list at school very early on. We're like, red flags. Watch this guy.
It was a work function. This was like they flew a bunch of people. Some guy who speaks for Oprah Winfrey. And
okay. Well, then HR is like, watch this guy. We got him
yeah,
on the
no-fly list. Guy, man. And so I dig the Brain character, like Mr. Burns. That's one of the reasons I like Rick and Morty so much too.
And was that work function before or after Jesse Eisenberg as incarnation in Man of Steel?
Eisenberg, I can forgive him for that because Zombieland, 2 in a row, tic-tac-toe. That's probably one of my favorite movies. We raised a bunch of money for Tillman Troops. I did the first Zombieland walk and help with that a lot, and that was pretty cool. So Zombieland is probably my favorite movie of all time. So.
Oh wow! Right, very cool.
I think my favorite Lex Luthor was Gene Hackman. Just awesome. Gene
Hackman was great. I mean, he was the first Lex Luthor I think I've ever seen on screen. Yeah, it'd have to be because if Superman always played on Showtime. We had Showtime, so when Superman showed up, you're just like, yeah, Superman. So yeah, I'll agree with you that.
There's just all this nostalgia over Animaniacs, and then so I was excited about that, and then I saw news that broke 4 hours ago. One of my favorite sitcoms of all time is being reimagined as a cartoon series for Netflix. Has anyone heard about this? Well, it's not Friends. I don't know how well any of you know me, but it's not Friends. Okay. Good Times. And Norman Lear, who is alive kicking in his late 90s, he's going to be producing the show with Steph Curry of NBA. He's got a production company. He's doing a lot of good work out there. And Seth MacFarlane. And it's already got a 10-episode order, and it's going to be awesome. Like, look, they're going to be doing what they were doing in the 70s with Good Times.
Right.
Pointing out all the things of society, but it's going to be now, and it's going to be great. If you had a chance to watch the last 2 years, they've done the live performances of a few episodes, All in the Family and Good Times.
Yes. Yeah. And Jeffersons.
And the Jeffersons, yeah, obviously still relevant. And he's still doing executive producer on. One Day at a Time, and they actually did an animated episode. That's what led to this. So look for that probably in the next year or two. But that's going to be awesome. So last few minutes of the show, comics. Miss Jen, any surprise books from last week?
Stargazer totally sold out like almost instantly. It's a Mad Cave book, really good.
And then
Cyberpunk was a very hot book too. I was surprised. Everybody came in for Cyberpunk, which I was pretty surprised about. So that was a good one.
It's Cullen Bunn, but makes sense.
Yeah.
And then coming up, we got a couple of news items. We have a new Batman character that's going to be in Detective Comics 1027. It will be the Silver Ghost in the short story Detective 26, and it's done by Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham. So anything Grant Morrison, since I've gotten so into Doom Patrol, I'm just all about that. So that'll probably be a hot book, and not that it wouldn't anyway, because it's Detective Comics, but number 1027. And then the Batman Catwoman maxi series from Clayman and Tom King finally has a release date. That's December 1st. Mm-hmm. It's been delayed almost a year. It's going to wrap up Tom King's run that ended with Batman 85. And I did not know this. They may have stated this earlier, but it takes place over 3 different time periods.
Oh.
So that'll be interesting. And in the description, they gave away a huge thing that I'm not going to say, no spoilers, but it's out there if you want to see it. But the 3rd time period is especially interesting. I thought they would have kept them under wraps, but they didn't. So what, Miss Jen and Chaz, what books are we looking forward to this week?
Is the Suicide Squad out this week?
It's not.
No, okay. Whenever the next Suicide Squad comes out, it's going to be. I mean, it's already sold out. You can't get it, but there's there's a big death in it.
For sure.
So that's already been leaked then, right? I mean, I guess people know what's coming. Okay.
Yeah.
It was the previous description, so it was not a really surprise.
Will it? So for us animals that don't know yet?
Well, I don't want to actually spoil it.
You tell everybody scrub to if you're not watching live, or if you are, step away for 10 seconds and then scrub if you don't want to.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do okay. Ready? Spoilers in 5, 4,
3, 2, 1, go, Jen.
His face is 2 different colors.
Right on. I love it. That's awesome. That's great.
How to do it so like that anybody that reads the book actually would probably figure that out pretty fast.
Yeah, that is. Everybody does it. It's like
yeah, it's gonna be really, really good. Well, I mean that I can't wait for. But we got Batman '99 coming out. Obviously, 10/27. Everybody's all over that. The Amazing Spider-Man: Sins of Norman Osborn. Iron Man is getting a brand new series. What else? Let me look at my list here. There's quite a few reprints again.
Yep. Reprint week.
Yeah, the Marvel Snapshot X-Men. I don't know how excited I am about the book, but the covers on it are beautiful. They look really, really good. But Umbrella Academy's got a one-shot coming out. Vampirella's got a one-shot coming out. But other than that, man, nothing really crazy. The Conan Battle for the Serpent Crown, that's the last issue, if you're keeping up with that. But
there's some good covers that the Ross variants that are running through Marvel for the next 2 or 3 weeks are going on.
Yeah, Chaz and I were talking about that earlier. I was like, hey,
I got a variant guy, and I got some variants coming through, and I was like,
very beautiful covers. I have the high-res images, but
oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. So I was able to snag some.
Right? Don't you think they'll make a poster book at some point? Because Marvel does really beautiful poster books.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But it might be kind of hard to come by or pricey. So just as art,
They do like it. I think they're usually like 20 pages, and they're only $25. They seem like a steal of a deal, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be really high quality, I'm sure. Alex Ross really doesn't let anything publish of his that's not from an image standpoint when he releases those coffee book kind of things. So should be beautiful.
Has anyone listened to the podcast?
What's up?
Oh, I was thinking when you were talking about Alex Ross, I was thinking the Marvels. Has anyone listened to the Marvels podcast?
I watch a lot of his art online where he talks a lot and just kind of paints. I find it soothing and really awesome. I like watching him and a couple others that really kind of cool. Some of their Instagram and social media is pretty cool too. Not all of them hawk the comic they're working on. So
yeah, I haven't listened to the Marvels podcast at all. No.
It's pretty cool. Did you ever listen to the Wolverine one?
Oh, I did. That one was great.
Yeah. So this one's sort of like a follow up. It's obviously completely different story, but it's just from like citizens' perspectives of those stories. But yeah, the same thing. Just scripted and all that. But so last couple minutes of the show, some video game news. Actually, the probably because of the pandemic and also because it's Nintendo, the Switch broke a historic hardware sales record in August, which had stood since 2008. Does anyone remember what system was hot in 2008?
2008? Oh.
it will be a Nintendo system, I'm sure.
Yes.
There's no we think very oddly that
that's it. Wii. You got it. Wii.
That was nice.
Yeah. So, and what's crazy about the Switch is, they always made it for, like, I remember a year before the system came out, they were doing that tease, and you had the millennials in a rooftop apartment, and I was like, how can you afford that rooftop apartment, millennials? But the point was that they were taking the game out of the hub and going all around and traveling around and And how can you afford to travel around? But anyway, the Switch has always been compelling from that standpoint, right? Well, during quarantine, they had the Switch Lite, and it's kind of replaced like the DS. The DS is no longer in production. You have the 2DS XL that's sort of still out there. Find it, but it's doubled the sales from a year ago. So that's crazy. And then video games as an industry, $3.3 billion in August. That's nuts, and that's up 37% from this time last year.
Or did you say 3.3 billion this month or this year?
No, I think this
quarter.
Yeah, this quarter it was this year so far. Yeah, because it's up 30% from this time last year. So, and Madden is number one overall for August. I'm interested to see the numbers on the Avengers a couple weeks from now when they do this next month. But video games, but especially like we all have them on our phone, so it's just interesting that the systems are doing so well, I guess.
Well, I mean, with everybody quarantined still, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as like the shop. We have a lot of people come in the shop. They're like, "How are you guys doing through this craziness?" And we're like, "We're actually doing really good because, I mean, people are still staying at home, so they got to get their nerd on. So what else are you gonna do? You're gonna buy trades, you're gonna buy comics, you're gonna buy miniatures to paint and all that jazz. So it makes sense. Obviously, like everybody else, when this whole thing started out, we were very scared. We knew what was going to happen. But within the first 2 or 3 weeks, we're like, oh, okay, we might be okay because, you got to get your nerd on. And thankfully, there's shops out there that help people get their nerd on. So it doesn't surprise me at all as far as games because I'm one of those cats. I'm not a very big gamer, but, just recently I bought the new Mortal Kombat just because I'm staying at home more. And I'm like, well, let me just go ahead and do this. And I will be buying the Avengers game as well because I'm staying at home more. I'm trying not to go out as much. But so yeah, it totally makes sense for me.
And Chaz, for your store, Adventure Begins, I think sports cards are on like an 8-year high right now. I mean that industry is on fire. I'm like,
The sports cards has gone crazy. It is nuts. And actually, we're doing our very first sports break this Saturday at 5. You can watch it live in store or like on my Twitch and all that jazz. And people are just like, psh, they're flooded to it. The sports card, I mean, it's an all day thing. Sports cards, it's ridiculous. But I've even had one guy has quit his job and just does sports cards now. He just buys and trades and sells sports cards. And so much to the fact that all these people keep coming in and telling me how successful they are, where I'm like, why am I buying comic books? I should be buying sports cards. But of course, that never happens because I'm too.
Latched onto that as a speculative market. I mean, it's crazy. It's almost like day trading because the sports card equivalent of CGC is PSA. So the big thing is to try to scour eBay, scour the shops, go bust packs, and get these cards that might be worth like $10 now, but you get it graded at Gem 10, and then that guy becomes an all-star, and it's just like it's insane.
And like Jordan from the Astros, he was high commodity. I mean, people were, and if you got his card, man, they were holding on to it. They couldn't wait. Then he got injured, and like nobody wants a Jordan card right now. And I'm like, he's still a player, but he's not playing now. But for the most part, man, it's just it's nuts. It blows my mind right now how big sports cards are because I remember collecting them as a kid. And I've fallen into the hype where I bought a couple of boxes here and there, and I open them up. I'm like, very cool. Like I got this dude, and he's worth a lot. But see, that collector in me, I still have a jaw in my. I mean, it's worth a lot of money, and I still have it. It's just hanging up next to my bed, just chilling out. I could sell it. I want to sell it, but am I going to sell it? Probably not. I'm too big of a collector. I'm an idiot. That's what
Yeah, but I mean, I think, like, as you pointed out, people are just, like, trying to take comfort in their hobbies. They're at home. They're going through their collections. They're filling out their back issues, filling out their baseball card sets, stuff like that. So it's interesting times, and just glad that I can spend an hour with you guys each week talking about all this stuff. takes all our minds off of it. Hopefully, it does for the listeners and viewers as well. So thank you for being with me again, Miss Jen, John, and Chaz, and thank you for watching and or listening to Nerd News Now, part of the Kingdom of Geekdom on Woodlands Online, sponsored by Space Cadets Collection, and The Adventure Begins. Check out other shows on Woodlands Online like Taste Buds, Music Cafe, Adventure Begins Show with Chaz and Jarek, Woodlands House and Home, The Best You, Weekly Fallout Sports Talk, and Between the Threes Business Talk. You can watch all of these on Woodlands Online and on our partner station, KBQT HD21, over the air on your television. All these shows and more are now available on Roku. Just download the app, search for Woodlands Online TV, and add it to your streaming channel lineup. And of course, you can listen to audio version of this as a podcast wherever you get your podcast from: Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher. And for those of you who are watching, Chaz, what did you draw?
It was Spider-Man. Somebody requested a Spider-Man, so I did Spider-Man. Did you not see it? Here, I'll show it one more time. Oh wait, no, that's not me. That's not what I want to do. Turn that back on. Oh no, what happened? Oh, there it is. I gotta turn my background off. Sorry. Oh, wrong button. So there it is. Somebody asked for a Spider-Man. It's in Sharpie. Somebody was like, "Can you do a Spider-Man Sharpie?" I was like, "I really don't like Sharpie." So, but whatever. Apparently, the Bugs Bunny did really well last time I did it, but whatever.
Oh no, that Bugs Bunny was awesome.
Well, I appreciate it.
Your Daffy Duck, phenomenal.
The Daffy Duck is one of my favorites. It was just a one-off, and it ended up all over the place. Got a whole bunch of likes, and people dig it. So, yeah.
Daffy in the Devil outfit. Got to do a pitchfork version of it.
What's that?
Do the Daffy with the pitchfork and the Devil's outfit for Halloween.
Oh, there you go. All right, got another request. I'm gonna have to do that. I have to go back to Daffy.
So if you're listening to this, go back and watch the last few episodes on woodlandsonline.com and see Chaz's work. Until then, see you nerds next time on Nerd News Now.